All right, we're excited to have us join again. Somebody we talked to earlier this season after a long night in Penn State, and you told us back then, Terry Mills, that this team had something special, and you know that better than anyone because before this week, you were the only one, the only team that got to say that they were a national champion. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, I kind of felt that this team had something special going. Anytime you see a team do what they did in the on the road in the Big Ten, I mean that was special in itself. But you start off the season in the players tournament in Vegas, and I think they were doing some stuff that most people didn't think that would even happen. But winning by 30, 40 points, which I knew that you can't sustain that over a period of time. But they stayed the pace. They kept it moving, and it just turned out to be a special season.
I just wanted to talk to you. There was a discussion during one of the games that one of the coaches said that Michigan playing Michigan for the first time is nearly impossible, that you have to play them a second time before you can see how they play. And that's why the Big Ten scores were closer than teams that only played them once.
I would have to agree with that. I thought it was a grind in the Big Ten because everybody kind of knew, you know, everybody's, situation, familiar with their plays, their style of play. And I call it a meat grinder because we're just sitting up beating up on each other game after game. And I just loved our chances. I told my partner, Brian Bush, anytime we got ready to face a team that you wouldn't normally see, I said, I love our chances because they don't know anything about us, and neither do we know about them. But at the same time, I thought Michigan was good at adjusting that once you knew something about someone, that second half, they'll figure it out. Like an example is going into that Tennessee game. We knew Tennessee was probably one of the premier offensive rebounding teams, and the coaching staff harped on it over and over again during film session. This team is an elite rebounding team. They're elite. Just kept saying it. I got tired of hearing it. They said it so much. Well, guess what? The ball goes up in the air. As soon as Tennessee takes a shot, they rebound. The first shot they threw up, they rebounded three offensive rebounds right away. So now Michigan is being hit in the mouth, and now you're saying to themselves, it's like, yeah, this is for real. And I think that was kind of a wake up call for Michigan, and then they were able to adjust.
I just want to know how cool it is for you to have won the title on the court at the school and then got to call another team winning the title on the court.
You know what? That is something special, something I probably cherish for the rest of my life. Um, Being able to look at it through a different lens. I got to look at it from I guess, a fan perspective or a broadcaster perspective. But just to watch them go through that tournament, it brought back so many memories of when we made our run and when we won it. So many familiarities throughout the season. You have big wins in the tournament, and I kind of said, I can't even think of who it was that we end up beating. Well, let's just say Arizona. Somebody would beat by 25, 30 points during that run. Kind of reminded me of Virginia when we had Virginia down by 30. I think we ended up winning by 37 against Virginia in our run. So many familiarities, and I could actually look out in the crowd and look at our fan base and say, this is the way our fan base felt at that particular time.
Again, not as a Michigan man, but just as a basketball fan, I thought it was cool watching that your team got its due through this run. There was a lot of mention of that 89 team. And I told Jeff I watched the Fab Five version of the broadcast on True TV, and I really enjoyed that. And kind of the credit that each of the guys seemed to give to the people who came before is something that impresses me about that program. Can you just speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was special, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I think we finally kind of got our due. I thought we were kind of almost forgotten, but just to see this team go through what they went through, you always had to refer back to Michigan's only title that they had, and that was in 1989. And I think it probably educated a lot of people as far as, Michigan basketball was concerned. I've had coaches tell me, 'cause, 'cause, you know, I was a kid, and 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 I that when they recruit players and they come in to the University of Michigan, the first thing they say is, "Was Michigan basketball ever any good?" So that'll be just something that you'd have to look at. Some of these young guys that come in, of course, they weren't born during the time we wanted, but you can go up there. I guess you can go back on YouTube and look at some grainy footage. But yeah, we were pretty good at one time.
Well, not only that, look, and by the way, you are not forgotten by a lot of us. As somebody who was at that Virginia game and was at the university at that time, we'll never forget that. You provided so many people with memories for a lifetime. But there was something about that team that is unique to that time period, but not unique now, because a lot of you on that team were versatile. You were able to guard different positions. You, as a big man, were a good passer, which was unique back then. Do you see the resemblance between 89 and 2026?
Yeah, I think you just said it, the versatility that we had during that particular time. Um, it wasn't necessarily positionless basketball where you have that right now, where you pretty much have positionless basketball where you've got guys 6'9", 6'10", bringing the ball up the court and being able to handle it. How dare we do that in 1989? If I took any dribbles uh, outside the paint, then I was on my way out of the game. So they have the freedom to shoot 3-point shots, freedom to kind of display their game on a big stage.
Uh, the other similarity was something that you talked about the last time you were on, which is the closeness of this team. You were the one to point out to us that this team was bonding, finding different ways to bonding, and those are the stories that are coming out. Even after the championship, you've seen a bunch of them go to the Pistons game together. They seem to really enjoy each other. How important for your run, and how important is it when you're playing a team sport to be able to have that kind of bond?
Well, I tell them it's real. I had a chance to say a couple words to the team before the championship game, and I just told them on how close of a brotherhood this is. You win championships could be one of the hardest things you ever do in your life, but I tell you what, it's going to bring a brotherhood and a bond for life, and you see it on display there. And I always have people come up to me all the time and say, "Do you still talk to the guys? Do you still talk to the guys?" I say all the time, we pick up the phone. It doesn't have to be anybody's birthday or a special occasion. Just pick up the phone and, hey, you're having a conversation, whether I'm talking to Glenn, Sean Higgins, Mark Hughes, I mean, et cetera. Bumped into Mike Griffin. Me and him had a conversation down at the Final Four. But we all stay in contact with one another. It's just that brotherhood that you have when you win championships. And Mike Griffin just said they just don't know how much this is going to change their lives. And I reiterated, I said, when you get to the professional level, some of you guys are going to go on and play professional basketball. And when you're traded, it's like a business. You're no longer going to even talk to those guys on that team anymore. It's kind of fades out. But this is real. This is here to stay when you win championships in college. And when you're done playing, if you have a long career, 10 years plus, you're going to always come back to the University of Michigan and say, hey, that's that championship we won, and how close those guys are going to be for life.
I was going to ask you about Dusty May and kind of the culture he's built there in such a short time, but even the fact that he had you in there talking to that team before that big game shows how he's embraced what Michigan is. Can you talk about what Dusty May has done and what he has the potential to build going forward there?
Yeah, I mean, just a special person, man. I mean, I like to call him whether you want to call him a player whisperer or a big man whisperer, whatever you want. I think what he has done is took a bunch of players that maybe some other college team didn't want, whether it was a guy who wasn't, playing well at UCLA. He talked about, the joy that he got back playing. I mean, not Mara, but Johnson was playing sparingly at Illinois. Cadeau, they pretty much was done with him in North Carolina. But for him to change all of those guys and bring them in and get them to buy in jail, that's just something special. And I was honored. We're getting ready to eat breakfast in the morning, watch film, and he say, if you want to say any words to the guys, you're more than welcome. And I was more than honored. I just kept it short and sweet for 1 minute. Just tell them how much I loved them, and hey, it stops here. We got to get a championship right now. You don't get here time and time again, and you know how hard it is to get here. And because of the pressure that this team has had on them all season long, this is the way I wanted it to end, because anything else was going to be considered to be a failure in my eyes. Not to me, but to fan bases and everyone else around, saying that this team totally dominated and then they just folded up. So I love the way it ended. And you know what? This team is going to have something special. They had Paramount follow them throughout the course of the season, which is a series that's going to be coming out. And I tell you what, you couldn't have scripted it any better for them to follow us from game one all the way to the championship. I mean, that's going to be something special.
It is.
Well,
And, one of the things that I think is unique in the way that Dusty coaches is the word fun. Morez Johnson Jr. said afterwards, I just wanted to have fun again. And they look like they were having fun, but you saw that Dusty's serious. You see that he prepares meticulously. Um, how hard is it in this day and age to find a coach that can make the game fun and not look like a crazy person on the sideline? He just
Yeah,
seems like he's calm all the time.
yeah. Well, I tell you what, he's not calm all the time. I've seen the other side of it, where he can get after guys, but he holds the guys accountable. The team hold each other accountable. And when you talk about closeness, I've been on a lot of teams where you might have three individuals here, two here, wherever, in different things, but we would go on the road and these guys would sit around and play poker, play cards, and you would see almost 8 or 9 of these guys sitting up playing. And so when they pull out that video game, you're talking about 8 or 9 guys in one room playing video games. So just a very, very unique team as far as closeness. From the star players to the players that may not even get in the ball game, everyone was treated the same.
you got to win one before you can go on a run, but you got that one. And I texted Jeff that you guys may be better next year. I mean, you got the guy who got injured early in the season coming back. The Fab Five's recruiting like the top kid during the broadcast, getting him to commit. Yesterday, I saw one of the top guys in the transfer portal coming over. Cadeau's going to resign. Jeff and I already went through the fact that it says resign for another year. But I mean, talk about what is the potential for this team next year.
Well, I think Dusty has a formula right now, and players have bought in. Right now, that brand, that Michigan brand, is probably recruiting itself right now. When that portal opens up, I'm not sure if they're even making calls. Probably calls are coming into them before they can even make a call. So that's special in itself. That you got players that want to play for Coach May because of his style of play, what he believes in, and what kid doesn't want to play up tempo basketball, want to play fast. That was just one of the things that Coach Dusty May and his staff wanted to do. They wanted to get out and run. They wanted to play fast. He didn't want to consider to call a play every single time and let's run 20 seconds off the clock, 25 seconds. If we can play up tempo, let's play up tempo. And the sacrifices that a lot of these guys took on this team was well worth it. I mean, you're talking about guys that probably was on that bench that probably could have been starters with a different program, probably played more minutes at a different program. And when he came in and he set the tone, he just said that, everybody's going to have to sacrifice something, but it's going to be for the good. And for him to say that and for it to end this way, man, I would want to play for him. I know that.
I was at the game and I came home and I watched the game again on TV. Um, and I was skeptical about LJ Kaysen holding off on the surgery because he wanted to be on the sideline. But after watching him on the sideline, almost like a second coach, and the way that he was able to pick up yaks when he was down, I'm now turning around to saying, you know what, for LJ and for the team, it was a pretty good decision.
Yes, it was a good decision. I think based on his surgery, I think that they were thinking maybe he would probably be able to get back in February which that's, almost half a season. I'm not a doctor, but I mean, you're just probably guessing that. And it probably would be better for him just sit out, get himself together. But he really wanted to do that. That was his decision. He said, "Hey, I want to follow this team. I want to be behind my guys. I'll put this surgery off." And I'll tell you what, he was a big help because I'd seen that young man watching film. He knew the heartbeat of this team. Uh, Actually, I remember him calling out. I can't remember what particular game, but our energy probably wasn't there or whatever, and we needed some things to happen. And all of a sudden, he said, "We need to press. We need to get after these guys." And that's what we did. And that was a turning point in the game. But from a point guard standpoint, you kind of know the beat of the team, the mood of the team and what the team needs. And he was able to provide that.
If you're a big man, seeing what he's been able to do with a Daimara and seeing what he did the year before with Lad Golden and Danny Wolf, wouldn't you be just knocking down the door to come here?
You definitely be knocking down the door because you got to feel like you can really open up your game. You can, play at a high level. And, you talk about a guy like Marez Johnson Jr., where for him, I'd love to be in his position because you can go professional to the NBA or you could stay whichever way he chooses to go. But I think if he stays, his game just goes to a different level. I think now you see a different part of his game where he can start, shooting 3-point shots, stretching the floor a little bit. He has that in his game. He hasn't necessarily showed it, but he definitely has that in his game. I think people are going to be surprised by Mara. Mara has that type of range to stretch the floor. Kind of puts me in the mind of a Porzingis. Uh, but he hasn't been able to display all of his game. But his upside, those two guys' upside is ridiculous.
So if you're Cordell, who is the seventh three guy, who is the backup center this year, why would you go?
Yeah, I mean, there would be no reason to go. I mean, knew no coming in that this young man was going to be a project. I've seen him take steps in the right direction. I kept telling him during the course of the season, "Be ready, young man, be ready. You may be called upon." And he was like, "Hey, I'll be ready. I'll be ready." Well, look, he's banged with Mara practice after practice. This young man hasn't played a whole lot of basketball. He played handball. So uh, 7-footer playing handball. The coordination is there, but I mean, he's just, he's real raw. But I think he has the potential.
You think he has the chance to come back? I mean, he entered the portal, and
Yeah,
so is
yeah, yeah. I would have no idea, to be honest with you. I don't know if guys are just testing the portal or what's going on, but uh, it's just really a tough situation for guys. If you don't feel like you're gonna play, then you got agents and other people that make those kind of decisions or help you with those decisions. So it's really hard to say. I can't answer those kids situations, and uh, I would always just give them some advice and say, "Hey, man, I love what you're doing. You got a lot of potential." I seen them at the celebration, told each and every one of them, and at that particular time, they were saying to me personally was like, "Oh man, I'm looking forward to coming back." Well, how things change in 2 or 3 days, So not knowing what's going on out there in the world or what's happening, these kids today, not only at the University of Michigan, but just overall. I mean, that portal number runs up just as quick as the dial. Just I think it was 700 the other day, and I looked today, and it was 950 or something. So unbelievable times.
The last question that we have for you is, as this run was going on, there was the Dusty Maine in North Carolina talk. And I've had people walk up to me and say, well, how could you not take the North Carolina job? As somebody who has been a champion at Michigan and has stayed so close to the university and now gets to see it from a whole different perspective, tell us why Dusty would stay at Michigan instead of going to North Carolina.
Well, I tell you what, we're a blue blood school. We have all the resources. I couldn't see why he would want to go there. This wasn't about him. He didn't want to make it about him. I know that everybody wanted the question of, um, are you going to go to North Carolina? Dusty May is a selfless person. That's how his players are also. So he's not going to make it about him. I mean, he don't want to talk about that. He kind of talked about a year before him and I had a conversation, and he was like, I think he ended up getting a raise or an extension during the time last year when we're going on a run, and then I think we're right in the mix of the Big Ten last year, and then all of a sudden when that happened, we kind of lost two or three in a row, and then we kind of picked it up a little bit. Came Big Ten tournament last year, but he kind of almost kind of felt like maybe that had something to do with it or whatever it is. You don't want to talk extensions and other jobs and all this other stuff while you're actually trying to stay focused and make a run. So I commend him on that. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be about. He's a very professional guy, coach, understands the game, and I'm happy to have him. And I'm sure he'll be here a long time. And if he chooses to leave, it'll be on his terms. It won't be because the University of Michigan didn't want it.
I fibbed. I got one more question for you. Every time we have a champion on the show, which you are, there's always a good story about how you celebrated afterwards. Do you got any good stories about when you celebrated?
Oh man, about when I celebrated
Or
this
any
year.
of your teammates when you in 1989?
Oh man, no, I can't remember all that, man. It was so long ago. I just remember us going out, staying out late, and Coach Fisher just saying, "I don't care what you guys do, don't get in any trouble, but you better make sure you're on that plane at 7 o'clock in the morning. Otherwise, you're gonna find your own way home." So I can remember that story in itself there, but just to return home. I knew what these players were looking for, had to look forward to with fans. Being downtown Ann Arbor, on University State Street, the partying, and for them to be able to look back on that and say, "Hey, this is what we created. This is what we did," and all about Ann Arbor. And I looked on there and I got some goosebumps myself when you got students lining up at 5:30 in the morning to try to get to a bar that doesn't open up till 5:30. That's commitment.
Well,
Well,
Terry, we want to thank you as we will always consider you the OG national champion.
Well, I
we,
appreciate that. I'm glad that I could be a part of this program, man. Glad I was able to work it out for you guys. It's been a busy time getting ready for this parade tomorrow and the celebration. I think they're going to raise the banner tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to that and letting these guys celebrate and continue to enjoy this. I mean, it's going to be a amazing celebration. The celebration is going to go on for a long period of time. I probably until we start season next year. But at the same time, you got to make sure you get your work in.
well, I'm really glad you guys are getting your due too. Like that's cool that everybody's along for this ride. So Terry, thank you for always giving us some time and enjoy the parade.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for having me on.